Okay, we are here in 23 CP 0076 for compliance hearing. Present before the court is Ms. Petty with the District Attorney's Office. Caseworker Ms. Hunter. Ms. Shanita Spurlock is present with her attorney, Ms. Correa. Mr. Demetric Stevens is present with his attorney, Ms. Juan. Mr. Greiner is here as attorney ad litem for the children, and I believe is Ms. Jennifer Spurlock placement. Very good. If you'll please raise your right hands to be sworn. Other hand, Ms. Yes. Yeah, that's okay.
You don't know your right from your left? You right with your right hand.
Pay attention over here. Right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Very good. All right. Hopefully we have, here comes Ms. Hunter. Perfect. Ms. Hunter, you're going to have to stay unmuted. I'm pretty sure you're the first witness.
That is correct. I'd like to call Ms. Hunter as my first witness. Okay, Ms. Hunter, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
You are the FBSS caseworker for the Stevens children and the parents, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And let's start with Ms. Shanita Spurlock. Is Ms. Spurlock in compliance with previous court orders?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Has she participated in random drug testing within 24 hours of your request?
No, ma'am.
Has she completed a drug and alcohol assessment?
Yes, ma'am.
Has she followed those recommendations?
No, ma'am.
What are the recommendations of the assessment?
The recommendations from her substance abuse assessment were that she needs to enter into inpatient rehab.
Okay, and what is the issue with that?
There were several attempts, openings for her, and she declined to go.
Okay. Has she remained alcohol and drug free?
No, ma'am.
Has she refrained from coloring, bleaching, or chemically altering her hair?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And let me back up. What substance has she been using to your knowledge?
Methamphetamine.
And how do you know that?
She recently tested on a UA and was positive for meth.
Okay. Did she complete a psychiatric evaluation?
Yes, ma'am.
Were there any recommendations?
No, there were no additional recommendations.
Okay. Has she completed individual therapy?
No.
Is she engaged in individual therapy?
Her last appointment for individual therapy was in November.
Okay. Was one set in between that she missed?
There's just some discrepancies about whether or not she's going to participate. There are appointments being missed, and then when we get 2 or 3 appointments behind, I'll notify her and she'll hop back in.
Okay. Has she gotten the children professionally assessed for an intellectual or developmental disability?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Has she made attempts to get them assessed?
No, ma'am.
Did she provide a release of information for herself and the children?
Yes, ma'am.
Has she participated in announced and unannounced visits?
Yes, ma'am.
Has she maintained weekly contact with you?
No, ma'am.
Has she told you of the need to miss any scheduled appointments?
No, ma'am.
And has she told you of any change of address, phone number, or household occupants?
There's no changes to the address or anything.
Okay. Overall, is Miss Spurlock compliant with court orders, in your opinion?
No, ma'am.
Okay. For Mr. Stevens, has he participated in random drug testing?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he complete a drug and alcohol assessment?
Yes, ma'am.
Has he followed the recommendations?
No, ma'am.
What were the recommendations for him?
The recommendation was for him to go to inpatient rehab.
And what What's been the obstacle to that?
Well, Demetric stated that he doesn't need inpatient rehab, and he has been able to abstain from methamphetamine. So at this point, it's a refer back to the department for monitoring until he tests positive again.
Okay. Is he engaged in any sort of substance abuse treatment?
No,
And you're monitoring through drug tests?
yes, ma'am. And
Okay.
he's been positive for marijuana, but his last meth positive was in October.
Okay. Has he remained alcohol and drug free?
No, ma'am.
You mentioned he was positive for marijuana, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And when was that positive test?
He had one in November 9th that was positive for marijuana, and then another one December 18th that was positive for marijuana.
What kind of tests were those?
Those were both UA.
And what kind of test was the positive methamphetamine test in October?
It was also a UA.
And have you asked him to do a hair follicle recently?
No, they are due for another one.
Okay. Has he refrained from coloring, bleaching, or chemically altering his hair?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he complete the fatherhood program?
Yes, ma'am.
And you received the certificate of completion?
Yes, ma'am.
Has he signed a release for himself to verify completion of services?
Yes, ma'am, he has.
Has he maintained weekly contact with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Has he told you of any need to miss any scheduled appointments?
Yes, ma'am.
And has he had any change of address, phone number, or household occupants?
No, ma'am, he has not.
Okay. Are there any additional orders you're requesting today?
I would like them to both seek some type of employment, either through SSI or workforce, to help stabilize the financial situation of the family.
Okay. Are you asking the court to order them to find that income?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are you asking that should Mr. Stevens have another positive drug test, he complete another substance abuse assessment and engage in treatment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is Mr. Stevens in compliance with court orders?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. And where are the children currently?
They are currently living in the home with the maternal grandmother, Jennifer Spurlock.
And are they doing well there?
Yes, they're doing fantastic there. We have the bus picking them up from and taking them to, so there's no issues with transportation. We're just kind of setting them up for a long-term stay with maternal grandmother at this point.
Okay. And is she willing to continue caring for the children, to your knowledge?
Yes, to my knowledge, she is going to.
Okay. Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Correa, any questions?
Just a couple of follow-ups. Is mom and dad, are they living in the same residence?
Yes, ma'am.
And so, because Miss Spurlock is not compliant at the moment, even if Mr. Stevens was to be compliant, that would hurt the placing the children back in the home. Is that correct?
Right. There's another issue too with returning the children home. There are two family members that reside in the residence that are fighting and also possibly on drugs. So, you know, even if they were testing negative at this time, we would still not place the children in the home because of these other family members that mom and dad are unwilling to evict.
And what type of access or visitation do the parents have with the children?
As of Miss Spurlock's last positive, which was December 5th. The children are not to be around mom or dad unsupervised at all. The children are not allowed in the residence at all. All visitation must take place at Jennifer Spurlock's residence with them being supervised.
And when was the last time that occurred? With it supervised in Jennifer's home?
Miss Spurlock was able to spend the holidays with them. And she's allowed to go over at any time.
Okay. And so it's not at a set time, it's just as mutually agreed between Miss Spurlock and Jennifer Spurlock?
Right. So Jennifer is her mom, and Jennifer and Shanita have a really great open relationship. There's just the concern of not being honest about the drug use. So, and Shanita stated that it was found in the residence and she touched it. So the kids cannot be there where there's a possibility of being exposed in the residence.
Okay. And so the drug and alcohol evaluation is still recommending inpatient. And you said there were a couple of opportunities for her to go, but she didn't go.
Yes, ma'am.
So how does she, if she was willing to go, how does that get set up?
Okay, so it's gotten to the point where, I mean, I'm calling Gulf Coast and I'm begging them to put her back on the list. And so I can only navigate it so much. I cannot call them and have them put her on the list. Shanita has to call and
When you're
say,
called as a witness, ma'am.
Okay.
when she has to call and say, hey, I'm ready to go to rehab. And the last time they had a bed open for her was on Wednesday and Friday of this past week. So I'm just to the point where I'm begging them to give her another chance, and she's not taking it.
Okay. So you're saying at this point in time, what she needs to do is call Gulf Coast and say, I'm ready to go and go into rehab. Is that
Yes,
what
ma'am.
you're saying is the
And
procedure?
Absolutely. And I've appealed to her and her mom and Demetric, like, you know what I'm saying? This is the last chance you had. You will not get your kids back if you don't go to rehab because you're not able to maintain sobriety on your own.
Okay. So if she was voluntarily doing any kind of outpatient or anything like that, you would still want proof of that, and you would want to see negative drug tests, correct?
Yes, ma'am. The thing with this case is Shanita has a lot of health issues and cognitive issues. And on top of that, she's exacerbating all these issues with the continued drug use. And I feel like rehab would not only be beneficial to getting her sober, but she can get her mental health in order and be under the care of doctors so that when she leaves, she'll just have a better step. They might even help her with SSI and getting on disability.
Okay. I pass the witness, Ron.
Okay. Any questions, Ms. Wan?
Yes, thank you. With respect to my client, Demetric Stevens, you said that he did his substance abuse assessment and they also recommended him to be inpatient.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so when this started out, he was positive for meth, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
But now he is no longer testing positive for meth.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's a UA with showing marijuana.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and on November 9th, what was his level?
18.
And what was his level on December the 18th?
It was 30.
Okay. And so are you going to be scheduling them another UA or hair follicle today?
Not necessarily today. I mean, he took one for January and it was negative.
Oh, January, what day was that?
Oh, I'm sorry. January 2nd, his UA was negative for all substances. So he's had a really good run of getting, you know, not partaking in this methamphetamine.
Yeah, because that's the real clincher is the meth. correct?
Right. And I'm even trying, so Shanita and Dimitri have it's her brother and his girlfriend also live in the house. And their initial recommendation to go to rehab in November was declined due to these other adults living there. They didn't want him to be left alone. So with Dimitri testing somewhat negative, I encouraged him to just get Shanita out the door. You know what I'm saying? And that I would just continue to monitor him through drug testing to kind of help the family.
Okay, so at this point, are you still, is still your understanding that his recommendation is to go inpatient?
It was, but I know from experience if I forward his information right now, they would say continue to monitor by the department.
Who would say that?
Gulf Coast, OSAR. His last recommendation from his substance abuse assessment was to go to rehab. But if I was to forward this new information with him testing negative, they would say refer back to the department for monitoring at that point.
Okay, okay. So you find him non-compliant today,
Yes, ma'am. He's not compliant.
but he is improving.
Yes. He's at this point, he's my ray of sunshine. He's the only hope that I really have for making progress with this family.
Okay, so okay, I guess I have no further questions. Thank you. Pass the witness.
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Griner?
Just very briefly, you had stated that he was testing negative for the last few months. Were any of those tests that he was negative on a hair follicle test, or were they all UAs?
No, they were all UAs. His last hair follicle was in the end of September. So he is due for one at the end of December, with the holidays and everything. He hasn't done a hair, but his last hair was positive for methamphetamine and amphetamine.
Okay. And he hasn't had a hair follicle since?
No.
Okay. All right. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay. Any additional witnesses, Ms. Petty?
No, Your Honor.
Any witnesses, Ms. Correa?
Yes, Your Honor, I wanted to call my client, Shanita Spurlock.
I'm here.
Okay, Shanita.
You both are in the same room right now.
Yes,
And so
ma'am.
if you're going to be talking on your phone unmuted, we can hear you just fine with Mr. Stevens' phone unmuted. But if you want to unmute your phone, then Mr. Stevens is going to need to mute his phone.
Mute your phone.
There we go.
There you go.
And then you unmute yours, Ms. Spurlock. Unmute your phone now. Okay. There we go.
I'm here.
There we go.
All right, very good.
Okay. Okay, Shanita, earlier when the worker was talking about opportunities to go inpatient, you were kind of wanting to say something about that.
Yes, I have
what's been going on
I
with
have
inpatient?
really extra information about that because Dawn Hunter, she did text me and she told me this was the last time that I to get my kids back that I need to go inpatient. She had said that they had a bed for me on this Friday, which I called and I got the proof that I called. I gave them my number. I'm on the waiting list. I can actually call Gulf Coast and they will tell you I'm on the waiting list. I've been calling. I called yesterday and they say I'm still on the waiting list to get in there. My bed is not ready. I've been making efforts to go in.
Okay. And so how often do you call to go in?
I call once every Thursday. So Thursday I'm gonna call again.
Okay, and they've told you to call every Thursday?
Yes, they told me to keep calling because I'm on the waiting list. They said my bed, they don't got no bed opening, but keep calling. They say she said be ready to go any day of the day, but call once a week.
Now, Ms. Hunter said something about that there was a bed open last week.
Yeah, she texted me too. She texted me and said it was open on Friday, and they were supposed to call. And she also text Demetric and told them that it was supposed to be calling. They were supposed to call me Friday, which that's a lie. They did not call me. Nobody called me. No, they got my number, and nobody called him or nothing. So I am waiting for them to call.
Okay. And so when you get the call, if they were to call you tomorrow and say, "Hey, a bed's open,
And
Shanita,
I'm
you need
ready.
to come,"
Like I told my
ready to go?
mama. Like I told my mama, whatever it is to get my kids back, I will do. Whatever, if I got whatever month I gotta be in there, I will. I'm only waiting for the bed to get called.
Okay. All right. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, any questions, Ms. Petty?
No, Your Honor.
Any questions, Ms. Correa, Ms. Juan,
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Griner?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, any witnesses, Ms. Juan?
Yes, I'd like to call my client, Demetric Stevens, please.
Hold on, let me get him. Baby!
He's on the hearing. He knows.
Hello?
Yes, hi, sir.
Shanita, you mute your phone so that he can speak.
Okay.
Okay. Just you tap your face and it will bring up something. It'll bring up a little button that says mute.
Okay, Demetric,
Yes,
how are you doing?
I'm all right.
Okay, so I'm understanding that it looks like you're managing to successfully stay away from the meth.
Yes.
Congratulations. So now we've got a couple of big problems to deal with, and that's the marijuana and these family members that are residing with you, your brother and his girlfriend. Do you understand that the department is not willing to return your children to you as long as they're living there?
I didn't know that.
So I think that it's we've got a lot of stuff going on here with your wife and with you, and we don't need any additional unnecessary complications. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
So I think that I would encourage you to have that conversation with your brother and his girlfriend. It's a new year, and you and your wife are trying to put your family back together, okay?
Okay.
Do you think you can have that conversation successfully with your brother?
Yes.
Okay, because it's time for you to start working on getting a job as well.
Yes.
Do you understand the department wants you to do that before they're even willing to consider returning your children?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay, you're going to have to be able to do that. So we've got a lot of stuff to do, and I think that you're headed in the right direction. Maintain your contact with your caseworker. And are you willing? Well, I guess right now they're not wanting you to go inpatient, but you understand that if you have another positive drug test, that they will likely recommend for you to go inpatient again. And that will delay moving forward with returning your children to you. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, are we going to work on those things?
Oh, yeah.
And keep in touch with your caseworker regularly. Refrain from any drug use. Stay in contact with me. Your brother and his girlfriend, you need to give them a time limit, okay?
Okay.
I mean, a short one, because you need to be building your life and you need to get a job, okay?
Okay.
Do you have any other questions for me?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Stevens. I pass the witness.
Ms. Petty, any witnesses?
I'm
sorry, any questions?
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. Let's see. Ms. Correa, any questions?
Just to follow up, Mr. Stevens, are your brother and his girlfriend, are they helping you pay the bills at the house?
No, not really.
Okay, so I mean, you're just offering them a place to live, just to be a good brother. Is that what you're doing?
Yes.
Okay. So if they were to go be somewhere else, that wouldn't necessarily hurt your finances or anything, correct?
No.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Griner?
No, Your Honor.
Any additional witnesses, Ms. Wan?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Any witnesses, Mr. Griner?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. It sounds like Mr. Stevens is largely compliant with the services. Ms. Spurlock is minimally compliant with the services. Ms. Spurlock, whenever you call over about the inpatient, are you letting them know that you are calling because you have an ongoing CPS case?
No, Your Honor, I haven't actually called and said I have an open CPS case. I called and I said I need to be on the waiting list. I had because she said I refused 3 times. No, Honor, I didn't. I refused one
Okay,
time.
well, let me just stop you right there. The reason why you and Ms. Hunter are probably getting different information then is specifically because of that reason. If you tell them that you have an open CPS case, then you become a priority individual. So, under their guidelines of how they receive money from the federal government.
Okay.
So it bumps you up the waiting list. So that's probably the information that Ms. Hunter is getting that you're not getting. You must let them know that you have an open and ongoing CPS case.
And that's the problem. I didn't ever tell them I had an open.
Okay, so when you call them back, please do that because that will change the scenario for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when Dawn is learning that like, oh, there's a bed this Friday for a person with a CPS case, that's the information that she's providing you. Then if you call behind her and you say, I want to be on your waiting list, they think you're just somebody from the general public and they're like, okay, cool. Like that's 30 days.
Okay. Well,
Do you see what I'm saying?
yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay. All right. Alrighty. So I am suggesting, I don't remember what, give me just a second here. I don't remember if you asked about a date or not, Miss Petty, but I'm suggesting that the next date be on March hang on, I can't scroll down though. March the 5th at 10 a.m. on Zoom. Are you all okay with the Zoom setting for this compliance hearing, or would you like to be in person?
It's fine.
Zoom is fine with me, Jen.
Okay, then March the 5th at 10 a.m. And hopefully whenever we come back on that day, I understand that, you feel responsible for your brother. I completely understand that. If,
Why I on the question? Because
sorry?
I said, why are we on the court? It's my brother and his girlfriend. And I didn't want to be the one to put them out because they didn't have nowhere to go. So that was my sympathy of my brother being here. So,
Well, I think the issue is, listen, there's a suspicion that your brother and his girlfriend are also abusing drugs.
okay.
Nobody is going to allow your children, number one, that puts you and Mr. Stevens in a very difficult position because you're surrounded by drugs then and you're trying to maintain sobriety. That's really, really hard, right? That's like having I'm not going to drink sodas anymore and somebody stocks your refrigerator full of Coke.
Yes, ma'am.
You're like, well, hell, okay. So that doesn't work. That's really hard. And so that's part of it. And then it's the whole point of placing your children at your mom's was so that both you and Mr. Stevens could have all that time that you spend dedicated to your children, dedicated to maintaining sobriety, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
And getting sober. But if it's constantly in your face, that's not helpful. And I'm not saying it's constant in your face, but if it's around your house and you think, I don't necessarily agree, but you think that's why you're testing positive for drugs still, then that's a problem because that's what's the barrier. Drugs are the barrier between Your kid's living with you and living at your mom's house or living
Okay.
at your mom's house. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's like, hey, if you guys want to keep doing drugs, that's your business. You're consenting adults. It's illegal, but that's on you. Go do them somewhere else. You can't do them here anymore.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
And I get that that you feel like you don't want to put him out. I would feel the same way.
Yes,
But at the end of the day, it's also like I have to make sure, like my number one job is not to take care of my brother. My number one job is to take care of my
Protect
kids.
my kids. Yes, ma'am. Always.
Your brother has a mom
Yes.
and she raised him, and now he's an adult making his own decisions, so he needs to go be responsible for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? And I think she would agree with me. Like, if
Okay.
you want to be an adult in the world who's not whatever, then go and handle your business, but don't bring other people down with you.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, I agree.
All right. Very good. I will see you on March the 5th at 10 a.m. And hopefully at that point, you will either have just completed inpatient rehab or you'll be zooming in from there. Okay?
Okay.
All right. I'll see
All
you
right.
then. Good luck to
All right.
both of you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.